Hey, Sean McElroy here with our Autoline exclusives, and joining me today is Tom Gattuso. He's the VP of Events for SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Market Association. Tom, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Sean. I'm happy to be here.
And, before we get into anything else, just this environment we've been seeing auto shows and auto events dropping like flies. What's up with SEMA?
So we've been watching the same thing, and I think right now we're on day 79 of our process of work at home. So we're going through it and we're watching what's going on, but we've really got our eyes focused on November. We are moving forward with the SEMA Show, and we've had a really good response to that effort. We were able to just have our space allocation in May. And between May 4th and May the 18th, we had 1,800 companies pick space at the show, which was encouraging because it's not necessarily them participating in the show as much as them participating in this industry event that's going to help things recover. So we were really encouraged by that. And we opened our registration in April. And we've got buyers right now that are signing up to go to the event. So we're focused on the business element that we can provide to the industry, and really not to emphasize enough our position in the calendar in the fourth quarter of this year, where this annual gathering of the industry will really help catapult it into 2021 as the climate starts to recover and people start to get back to normal.
Well, you kind of touch on one of my questions there. You're seeing people register. I was curious if there would be more small businesses that might be coming in. And the reason I asked that is with so many people locked up, I'm wondering, a lot of the times these guys are just crunched for time and don't have the time to finish their project. I'm wondering if being locked up at home, if you're seeing a different type of person that's signing up for the event.
So we're really all over the gamut of it. We've got companies that are reporting that they're flat to last year or up. We've got other companies that are affected by this current climate, but saying that they're going to recover in the long term. And then there's a segment of the industry that's severely affected by this. And when you look at it in percentages, it's almost 20, and 60 in the middle. So we're focused on that 80, 85% that really is still moving forward with their business. There's another part of the association that's focused on the 15% that is struggling and trying to figure out what the next steps are. And we've got a whole response team really that's activated to be able to help those members and how they're going to be able to keep their business going and what the future is going to look like for them. So to answer your question, we've got these companies that are reaching out to us saying, yes, we need this because it does chart our course for what we're going to do. We still need the innovation. We want to know the new products. We've got to meet new clients. So that's the type of thing that we're focused on, and really bringing this business value to those companies that are ready to have the business value in November. As a trade association, we're worried about all of our members. So as we get to November of 2021, we're hoping that with all the resources we've had for everybody, that the industry comes together yet again. But it's an even more fuller industry than what we're expecting this year.
Well, that's good. It's awesome to know that the show so far is going to go on, as they say. But by my count, I feel like the SEMA show in Las Vegas in November could be or will be one of the first major auto shows in the US. Now, we've seen with US automakers that they've looked to Europe and China as kind of their roadmap for restarting. Are you going to be looking to other places as to, maybe the measures that you should be taking for the show? What sort of things there?
We are, and there's a lot of different layers to it. Much like SEMA is a trade association for the automotive industry, there's a trade association for the trade show industry. And there's also really prominent stakeholders and thought leaders in that industry that we're connected to. So we're watching things on a global level, but we're involved in these task forces with these associations where they're getting together with people in legislative positions and healthcare and that type of thing to shape what trade shows are going to look like, not only here in the US, but also internationally. So we're part of some of these task forces. We're actually creating our own work groups with other stakeholders in Las Vegas as well as Indianapolis for the PRI show. And we're connected in this network where we're really sharing this information. So we're going to see some of the things that are going to transpire, and we're going to develop some best practices. Third week of June, end of June, we're going to come out with our initial safety plan on what the show is going to look like, what the expectations are going to be. But we can't really make November decisions with June information. So we know that that's going to be early. And our plan is to update it in July and then August and then the third week of September. So the people that are attending the event or participating in the event will know exactly what to expect when they get on site. So we're really actually excited from a trade show nerd perspective. My title is Vice President of Events, but it really should just be trade show nerd because I spend a lot of my time in that space. And I'm really energized to figure out how people are safely moving exhibitors and attendees through convention halls, watching some things that are happening with other events, and really being a thought leader and a trailblazer on what Las Vegas is going to look like from an event standpoint, not only in 2020, but even beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, a typical SEMA show in Vegas brings in like something like 160 some odd thousand people or something like that. Isn't that right?
It is. And it's a tremendous event for the city. So we've got stakeholders in our work group from the city and from different municipalities around. So we know the impact that it has on that, but more importantly, the impact that it's got on the industry. And we really are set on our knowledge of the value that we can bring in the fourth quarter of 2020 and the effect that it's going to have in 2021, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. So that's really our focus, is not necessarily anything other than what this means to the industry and what it can mean for trade shows in general as they start to come out of this climate.
So I'm curious, you've been putting on automotive events for over 20 years now. Was there anything that you could draw on, any experience that you had that might even sort of relate to this?
There definitely is. And again, I'm one of these operations people. So I get through a show and I don't remember anything good that happened, but I know all the things that could have gone better. And in my 25 years, I've never run into a show that I didn't think I could do a little bit better. So I got to draw on what happened after 9/11 and the events that I was associated with in 2001. I also got to do a lot of research on SEMA and participated in SEMA in 2009 as we came through an economic recovery. And both of those events are different from what we're going through right now, but they were events that really caused our industry to show how resilient they were and show the usefulness of what this trade show means to the industry as they gather in November. On a personal note, though, in 2017, our SEMA show was 30 days after the terrible tragedy that happened at Mandalay Bay. And one of my jobs at SEMA really was to be this central repository of information that was going out to people. So I had the job of anytime anyone called to know what our safety plan was after that event and what SEMA was doing to keep the SEMA show safe, I was the only person that was taking those customer service calls at our association, because at the time we felt like streamlined communication would be our best bet. So I was literally talking to people that were afraid to come out of their house and they were afraid to come to the city. And they just wanted to know that there was a plan, and they wanted to know that there was somebody behind the plan. And when I could share that I'm not sleeping at night unless I know that the plan is solid and that people are going to be safe, they just needed to hear that. And I think I can draw a similarity for this, where there's definitely concern in the marketplace on what's going to happen. And we're being very proactive because I know that we're going to be needing this plan. It's going to be very transparent. We're going to need to communicate it multiple times. So I'm energized in trying to figure out what that's going to be, because that's just one aspect of what we're putting together. The connection between buyers and sellers is one thing, but having this safe environment where people feel that they can congregate is really important. So that's the focus. And I think if I was going to say over the 25 years what led us to this point, I'm surrounded by industry experts who have done a lot of shows just at SEMA and PRI, where we're all drawing on our experience and pulling it together. But we're also forming these work groups and part of these initiatives where we're getting input from centuries of experience when you put it all together. And I'm confident that we're going to put something together that's going to have a lot of business value. And for those companies that are ready to participate in it at that time, we'll be there for them.
So do you have any sort of special events for the show that you can tell us about, or maybe something that might be in the works?
So we had some successes last year, like our overlanding section and the SEMA Electrified and some of the outdoor events. And we're looking to continue to do those types of things. At this time of year, we've just secured most of the exhibit space. So we're now in this process of figuring out what features are going to go where and what that's all going to look like. So over the summer, that's where that stuff gets developed. But I can tell you, based on the 1,800 companies that we listed or put on the floor plan, we had individual conversations with those folks, literally, and had them pick their space. So I don't know if you've seen our floor plan process, but we start with a blank floor plan and we call company by company based on seniority, and it fills in, and you can see it fill in. And even now, SEMAShow.com's floor plan has got exactly where everybody is. But as we're having these conversations, we're learning about this innovation that we know is coming. We're talking to builders who are going to be building some really cool vehicles for the show. And we know that this industry doesn't stop. You know, we lean on these 7 truths that this will end one day and the industry will survive, and the passion that this automotive aftermarket is built around with consumers doesn't go away. You know, these truths that we know. So we just keep building on those, and we're really optimistic that there's going to be the same innovation. There's going to be the same new products and new customers and new things at the show that people will never have seen before. And that's just part of the value and part of the magic of what we do in November.
Well, you mentioned that, and the good thing about coming out of this is that any sort of tragedy or any sort of major event like this has shown that we just need events to get back to normal and just start doing normal things again. And, you know, it seems like SEMA in November is going to be one of those events for us. So it's awesome to know that it's still going on. And Tom, I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today.
No, it was my pleasure. We're really wanting to be communicative during these times. We know that people are in distress to a certain extent with what's going on in the world. So we want to be here for them. And I would say that if you check in with our SEMAShow.com website or our SEMA.org website, you'll get some really good updates on what's going on. But we're going to have our plan, and just know that we're proactive with it. And we're really focused on the business element of what we can provide to the industry and leveraging our place on the calendar for being able to turn our marketplace around and put it on a path to recovery for 2021.
No, and it's just something you always want to see, because the vehicles and everything that come out during that show, I know SEMA is an organization and does so much more, but you know, just the cool vehicles that come out of the show that just show how far you can take a car from slamming it to the ground or raising it up to the sky. It's a cool event, and it's awesome to know that we'll still have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.